Okay, so if you guys have been watching my videos for at least a while, you probably noticed that I have these custom Thomas & Friends Playroll or Trackmaster engines. And you're wondering, starting point 54, how could you possibly have these cool looking trains? And how do I make one myself? To which I say, figure out yourself. I don't fucking care. Just fuck you, figure out yourself. Bye. Okay, no. But I was planning to make a video showing you guys on how you can make your own custom Playroll or Trackmaster trains. Now, I am gonna be listing some warnings throughout the video, but aside from that, let's go. Now, for me personally, I would get matte acrylic paint because it just makes the job so much easier than just having to paint so many layers and the color still doesn't look that great, and you can just paint like 2 layers and that's it. With just 2 layers of paint, boom, colors. So yeah, I would suggest using the matte acrylic paint for your paint. I usually use Rust-Oleum. It's perfect for this project. You're gonna need some coal powder or some other type of weathering powder, like to make the engines look more realistic. Now, for the ordinary Playroll engines, you can basically use just the normal screwdrivers. But warning, if you do only have the older Trackmaster engines, or even the Trackmaster Revolution engines as well, you're gonna basically need a triangular screwdriver. Yeah, because I don't know why do they have just triangular screwdrivers. Like, I don't get it. Yeah, I just don't get it. Now, if you look at my engine's funnels, you would notice that they're a little bit longer than, the usual Playroll engines. That's because they're made out of pencils. Yes, pencils. Now, this step is not really mandatory. You can basically do this step or don't. I don't care. It's your engine. You can do whatever you want with it. You can get them in sheets or already custom cut, but it is very useful if you cannot paint straight lines. Last but not least, your trains. Obviously, like, why if you cannot do this project if you don't have your train? Are you an idiot? Like, are you a moron? Are you stupid? Make stupid sense. Yeah, before we begin this project though, make sure to be careful with the tools that you're using. You could get seriously injured. You have been warned. So first things first, you gotta get your engine and a screwdriver. Now, what you're gonna do is try to unscrew as much as possible on the engine and try to make it as many pieces as possible. AKA, try to remove the motor from the main body of the engine so you can actually paint the body of the engine. I also recommend trying to take out the face because it's gonna make the painting process a lot easier if you just take out the face, because it's just gonna be in there in the way when you're painting. And also, if your engine has sticker detailing, try to remove that as much as possible. You can get them out basically with some alcohol or maybe even water to get it off. So yeah, next comes the painting. You will need to use a coat of some type of primer so you can make the colors that you're gonna put on your engine really pop off, really show that color. The primer needs to be really light color, aka white or maybe a gray primer. Now, another thing, you can paint however you want, like with spray paint or maybe in a brush. I use a brush because I have more precision and can get tiny details and can mix colors easily to make a new shade or a whole new color. So for my engines, I decided to have a more RWS look to them, plus having some of their own design and character, as you can see from their silver buffers and some of my design choices. But you can use whatever you want. So after you apply your paint, then you let it dry. But try not to leave big blobs of paint to dry, or else it would just look terrible. Now it's time to use the vinyl. make sure that the paint is completely dry so that the vinyl doesn't rip off the paint if you messed up, you know. Again, you can place the vinyl however you want, although it is going to be a little bit trickier unless your vinyl is already custom cut so you know where you want to place it. You can try to bend it and use a hair dryer to secure it into place, but I decided not to do that and just use straight lines. Or you're gonna need some steady hands if you're gonna cut a sheet of vinyl, because it can make your straight lines turn into some thick to slim lines and make hills. Well, unless you're aiming for that. Now this step can be skipped if you're already happy with the results of your model, but you can cut a pencil onto a good size and you use that as a funnel or smokestack, or however you call it. How I cut my funnels was with an X-Acto knife to make small cuts on the pencil and cut with my scissors, and a lot of strength. Yeah, it's just super tough to just cut a pencil with some goddamn scissors. I really recommend using a Dremel saw thingy to cut it since it gives more precision, but be extremely careful if you do. This also applies if you want to add a coupling hook, but unfortunately I don't own a Dremel, so I had to use a red hot knife. But if you do have enough patience, you can just cut it with an X-Acto knife, even though it's not really safe still. And of course, you're gonna need some spare Tomei coupling hooks, which they're pretty cheap on Amazon, but of course I don't have them, so I just salvage the hooks from spare freight cards or tenders of engines I don't really care for. And to put it all together, just use hot glue or super glue to put it all together. Well, it's specifically the coupling hooks, not really the engine itself, because that's what the screws are for. For the final step, weathering and matte clear. So if you already have like a good condition Playro or old Trackmaster engine that you don't want to paint on it, but you still want it to look sooty and dirty to make it more realistic, you can still do this. So warning, this process is going to be very messy since you're going to be using a lot of black powder. So this process is also do your own thing just add your actual crushed charcoal or just black powder onto the model however you want. Apply very light powder on certain areas if you want your engines to look clean, or you could also add a shit ton of the black powder to make it look dirty and sooty. Now it's time to use the matte clear spray. The matte clear spray is going to help the paint not fall off as easily, like if you drop it or some shit, the vinyl to stick perfectly onto the train, and the black powder to stick as well. Now don't spray it too closely to the model, because it will cause the matte spray to dry with wet and drip marks. Make sure that your engine is still in pieces so it can get on every crevice of that piece. Now let it dry for about 5 to 10 minutes or possibly longer if you want to make sure that it is completely dry. And there you have it, your custom Playro or Trackmaster Thomas train. And almost all steps can be applied to anything else, like some other vehicles, freight cars, passenger coaches, brake vans, tankers, or even some buildings like my engine roundhouse or my tin man sheds. Either way, I hope you enjoyed this video. And I'm sorry that there's no plush video this week, but I thought, you know, this was gonna be more unique and fun to do. Comment down below if you want me to make other tutorials or updated tutorials, like how to make my thumbnails and videos, because I've grown over time, and you know, I found new ways to make my thumbnails and videos. Well, anyways, I'll see you all next video. Bye bye.